Good afternoon, everybody. Just grabbing a couple charts here. Thanks everybody for joining us. A lot of people, a couple people get in here. Hmm. Had to throw back to Terry. No Vols fans allowed. It's funny. Hey, Marcel, how are you? All right. Good afternoon, Despina. Interesting. I have a good friend that their wife's name Despina. I would assume you're Greek. Maybe not though. Just an assumption. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Just the afternoon market recap. So, obviously, we've seen a significant move to the upside in the overall SPX SPY, IWM. RSP really was showing nice strength this morning. The Equal 8 ETF, we also keep an eye on that. Obviously, IWM. Yeah, good. Um, Let me know if you're in Atlanta. um, You're probably not though, but yep. So IWM has moved to the upside. So pre-market prep, we went over basically what we needed to see in the market trend model, as well as our volume command, and then we did have a path up towards 6,600 that I spoke about this morning in our pre-market prep. We just needed to get above the DS range and start moving to the upside and capturing a significant amount of those out of money calls and driving those in the money. Obviously, adding more positive delta to our book. Dealer gets shorter; they have to buy to hedge, and then we hit a local peak usually, and then we start to see that drop off. So here's our SPX web app. Obviously, 6,600 still that PGX upside area that we're continuing to watch. Again, not sure that we'll get all the way up to that area this morning. Oh, nice. Athens. My buddy's actually in Athens right now, so with his wife, Despina. So yeah, so 6,600, we were call dominated, so any pullback was most likely going to be supportive. We discussed the drunken sailor range as going to be key this morning. We dropped right just below it and then drove really quickly back to the upside and then took out the highs. So, and we saw the vol M command really indicating speculation to the upside. So we'll go over that. So just get everybody orientated. This is our volume metrics, our intraday volume analysis. Basically, these green solid lines are indicating where the massive market participants are transacting volume contracts. So obviously, if both of those are in a positive slope and transacting higher, then the out of the money call speculation most likely will drive us higher, as well as the put slope is indicating that is a positive slope also. Again, this doesn't tell you exactly buy and selling. It's just the volume that's transacting. But we can look at these charts and indicate that obviously the put speculation was not speculating much lower than where we opened at, and it's actually continuing to come up under price. So again, that usually continues to be supportive on pullbacks, and those are just opportunistic short-term puts. Now, if we saw this put centroid start turning back to the downside, obviously making lower lows and lower highs, and then we saw these transactions dropping down towards 6,500, then obviously that's out of the money put speculation coming in. And then if we saw the call centroid obviously dropping down, then that out of the money call speculation is starting to dry up also. So again, the probability of price appreciation higher would continue to drop. Now, the key metric to see here is where these peaks in this call centroid are, right? You see 6,600, 6,600, and now we're just barely under 6,600. So from looking at this, and my analysis is we would need to see that call centroid start turning up and transactions above 6,600 if we're going to move up toward that 6,600 level. Usually out of the money put speculators speculate with 20 delta speculation options, and then they usually close around 50 delta. That's just usually how it works. So again, we would need to see this transacting 6610, 6620 to the upside. Those would be 20 deltas most likely, but we're not really seeing that at the moment. We're seeing the call centroid actually kind of flatten. Obviously, it's into the lunchtime hour, 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern. But once we see that start to flatten, then usually price starts to flatten also in consolidation. We may not see a significant move up towards that 6,600. May actually see a pullback to the center of this linear fit line, which would roughly be 65.78, 6,600. So you're looking at 66.85, probably somewhere around in there. And as long as these linear fit lines continue on this trajectory, we'll most likely close, somewhere around this level between those linear fit lines. Again, unless we see those start to drop off into the afternoon. Key takeaway here is we're looking at the market trend model. As always, our three pillars here at hello, Jatin. Market trend model, three pillars here at Gamma Edge: sentiment, structure, and trend. Trend obviously keeping us on the right side. That's what our market trend model is based on. Knoxville, Tennessee. So what I talked about this morning is we wanted to see, excuse me, we wanted to see our intraday instantaneous cumulative tick, which is our bolded white line, start turning back above the momentum or our railroad tracks, our shorter term moving averages, indicating there was more buying than selling in the overall market. And that's what we got really right out of the gate. As of 10:14, 10:15, we had already crossed back above those shorter term moving averages. And then you see the filtered cumulative tick up here, which is plus 1,000, minus 1,000. Those are larger block orders. Those are institutional market participants, was already above zero and really, traversing to the upside. I can spread this out, but we were having kind of a linear, what we call a linear move to the upside. So again, that was indicating a significant amount of buying coming in the overall market. So if that is occurring, you want to obviously be on the right side of the trade. This market trend model helps you do that. And we'll go to our quality tick. So as of 10:07, market trend model was already indicating that we were probably going to have a significant move to the upside. And then as we crossed back, held DS, crossed back above. So this was 9:50, and then same time frame by 10 o'clock, we were already indicating via our vol metrics and our market trend model that we were going to have a significant move to the upside. So you still could have got on board this move, even if you had waited a little bit. So the key thing now that we're looking at is PGEX on Qs is 585. We're coming into that level. Historically, that's an area where we see some profit taking and most likely stalling of price action. IWM is reaching PGEX and COI. COI is the highest call open interest, so that's really a local peak where we could see some profit taking also. So that's 240. And then we're really building a significant gamma node up here around 6590. So I can look at our net stack command, but this could be a local peak area that that may be difficult to overcome. That's why I was just talking about those volumetrics, the vol M command, really needing to see those speculators transact higher. The volumes continue to drop off. It's pretty significantly into the afternoon here. So here's the net stack command, talking about 65.85 now, those out of the money calls. So we would need to see a larger amount of out of the money call speculation transacting higher than 65.85 on our vol M command for us to be able to drive higher than 85 and then towards 6,600. And then I discussed those in the money calls this morning on our pre-market prep at 65.50, and this was likely going to be an area on a pullback that would be supportive. Also, if we got below that, transition was the next area. So we had multiple layers of in the money calls below us that were positive delta that most likely would be supportive on any pullback. And as long as we're in a call dominated environment and constructive, any pullback is an opportunity to continue to get involved on the upside. Now, if we start to see those out of the money call speculations start to really degrade, as I talked about this morning on our DBH command or our GEX ratio, then we'll shift our focus. But as of now, we're not really seeing that. The SPX structure is very supportive of pullbacks and higher prices. And 6,600 was that today. Again, we'll see if we get up there. We'll have to clear this 85, and then I'd be looking for 90, and then obviously 6,600. And IWM continues to drive higher also. And then I was discussing the structure and all the Mag 7 stocks. Were very supportive of higher prices this morning. I talked about that in the pre-market prep. We're above P-Trans on a lot of the stocks. We're approaching plus GEX. We're above zero GEX. Any pullback was most likely going to be supportive. Tesla plus GEX 360. You see where we opened right at P-Trans and drove right to PGEX. So this is our core playbook for individual equities. Anybody listening or joining us, core playbook for us is P-Trans to plus GEX. We have a scan for this. We produce it every day for our members. Or even if you're just watching an individual Mag 7 stocks, this is what we do. As long as the structure is supportive, we'll buy pullbacks to zero GEX and P-Trans. And then look for moves to plus GEX. Again, we mechanically try to execute these. You see Google. This was a pullback to COTMP. We drove across zero GEX, which again is a balance point. And then we drove right up to PGEX and plus trans. Those were the same levels. So again, that could have been a nice trade for the day. Just going across the line here. Amazon supportive at P-Trans. Microsoft supportive at P-Trans plus GEX. Robinhood obviously moving up towards COTMC plus GEX 125. Snow couldn't get over P-Trans. But I think you see a theme here, right? Supportive at P-Trans for Uber. Driving higher there. So again, all these stocks continue to be in a call-dominated positive gamma environment, supportive on any pullback. So that's basically continue what we look for. So we'll see if Qs can get over 585. We'll see if IWM can overtake 240 here. See if we see stalling. And then 65, 85 is going to be that key level on SPX we need to get over. So if we get over 65.85, we have out of the money calls that will go in the money. Those will add a positive delta to our book, obviously negative delta to the dealer's book, and they have to buy to hedge, and we just keep driving higher, right? And so looking at our last vol M command, let me pull that up. So we'll see what it looks like. So here's our last vol M strike command. So yeah, we saw the call strikes drop a little bit, but we want to see these continuing to transact higher, moving these back to the upside. This call centroid, you want to see it continue the slope to the upside. So we have a table that numerically shows this. You can see the call slope was actually peaked right around in here at 1125. We had a peak at 1045. And then it's been slowly dropping, right? Now, not as in bearish, but it's just slowly dropping a little bit. You see the rate of change fairly slow. Then you see the put slope actually peaked and then starting to drop down a little bit. So again, indicating that those call centroids are dropping or flattening out a little bit. So if we're going to move back to the upside on a numerical form, we want to see this start to drive back to the upside. So you want to see this start riding from 0.05 back up towards 0.08, 0.09, and then to 0.1. That'd be indicating that call speculation is transacting higher, and both of those slopes continue to raise up and drive higher. So we may have hit a local peak at 85 if we do not see any more call speculation to the upside, and this would just most likely indicate we'll consolidate, and that's shown again on our vol M command. If you go to it, and that would be shown via our linear fit lines, that if we continue on this trajectory, we'll close somewhere within this overall linear fit lines. So again, this may provide an opportunity in the afternoon for option structure play. If we continue to see this flatten, we want to see the rate of change drop down to 0, and then that's indicating that, sorry about that, really we're just continuing along. All right, sorry about that. So then we'd just continue on that trajectory and most likely close in those linear fit lines. So anyway, anybody has any questions, thoughts, comments? I'm just going to hang out here a few minutes. Sorry about that. All right, sorry about that. He's a border collie. He's crazy. No, he is fantastic. So yeah. So open. Let me check that. That's one that I don't really follow too much. Let's see. All right, let me know anybody. Sorry, let me know if anybody wants to go over anything else. Let's see. So 10 is PGX. So I would have to look to open and see how much significant move it had today. COI is down at 7 for this Friday's expiry. Next Friday, 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Moki at the door. Could be Terry. 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Sorry, $10 PGEX still in COI down at 7. So I would not anticipate this to advance much higher. COTMC is there at 10 at the 10 strike. So that's out of the money calls go in the money. So most likely that would probably put a cap on price today. Let me see what open is actually done today. Yeah, nice move. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. I'd have to add this to our script. So yeah, so 10 is pretty amazing, you know, how this works with the options. We reached what, 990, 992, 94, 95. So you can see how this matches our web app very well, right? If there's not speculation above the 10 strike on open, which we can look at it right now and say, hey, yeah, yes, there's out of the money calls, but not a significant amount, right, Jim? So price is not going to go where the options are not at, and we say that all the time, right? So if 1050, or you know, if the 1050 strike or 11 strike price sees a significant amount of options come in, then yeah, we could go higher. But that 10 strike is massive. So that's PGEX. That's usually historically where we see profit taking. So pretty cool to watch this in real time, right? I hadn't even looked at open today. I had no clue about it, but I just was thinking in my mind that 10 was probably going to be the cap on price. So this is how we use our web app. This is, you know, to, if you're in it, to take profit, right? And you can keep, you know, you can scale in and out. You can keep a runner if for some reason some crazy news comes out. This seems like a open. I think it's had pretty high speculation. It's been a pretty speculative stock, right? Coming out. I think is it a new IPO too? I can't remember. Yeah. I mean, so like if you've caught this run from whatever 7 to 10 or 9 to 10 today, then absolutely scale out, because this is an area where most call speculators are going to probably take profit, right? I mean, they're in the money, right? They're going in the money at this level. If they're out of the money call speculation, if they took a 20 delta, they're probably at a 50 delta. So most likely they're going to take profit. So, oh, okay. New CEO announced. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, this is how you use the web app, right? And then, you know, you're above transition. It's call dominated, so it's supportive on pullbacks. You know, I would stick with it. I would probably take some profit depending on what your expiry is. But yeah, and this is how price matches, or this is how the option structure gives you an idea of where price may go and where it may not go. And for us, I think it's more important about where it may not go. Is there a chance of it to go above 10? Right now, not really, right? I could look at, you know, expiries on out in time, but it didn't look like it changed too much, right? So AMD, let's see. Stuck in transition, PGEX 160. So I'm going to say probably not, Jose. Unless we see some large. So you got in the money puts overhead. Those will be a headwind. Those will continue to grow throughout the day. Charm wise, I can run the net stack command, but yeah, AMD's right there. Oh, sorry, we're a little delayed. So yeah, so you'll see in just a minute. Those will continue. Yeah, had to check to see where I'm at. So yeah, that's AMD. So you'll see it. Yeah, so 160. Most likely, I would anticipate probably put a cap on it. I think I have AMD somewhere. AMD. Oh, we already hit. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is amazing. Oh, it's fantastic. Look at the open. We hit 160 like to the penny. Look at this. 160.20, right? I mean, like, if I could make this stuff up, I would, but I can't. And then guess where we pulled back to? P-trans. And guess where we bounced? P-trans, right? Now, I'm not going to say we're not going to hold P-trans for the rest of the day, but if you're looking to get involved, P-trans is exactly where you would get involved. If you're looking to take profit, where would you take profit? PGEX. That's what our mechanical portfolio is based on. P-trans to PGEX. And we capture that move. And then if the structure continues to advance, if we get in at P-trans and PGEX continues to advance higher via all the money speculation, which it does sometimes, PGEX will continue to advance higher, then we stay with the trade until we get a close above PGEX. So yeah, this is a prime example of if you were in a trade and you hit PGEX at the open, you should most likely be taking profit and scaling, at least managing your risk and scaling out. So this is how we use our levels. And then use the web app along with that too. So yeah, this is a great example. So yeah, so now you can look at all expiries. You see COI up here at 200, but I was just looking for short-term expiry, right? Or next week's expiry. So it's up there at 200, but you actually see PGEX drop to 155, right? So that means the structure is actually dropping. And you see these out of the money calls, watch. You see these actually in the money puts, well, you will see those actually grow, see those significantly grow into next Friday. So that's going to be a major headwind for AMD. Not saying it can't move up, but from an option structure standpoint, you'd want to see this continue to move up. So, okay. Yeah. My only caution is we're within the overall transition. A pullback to transition is supportive, right? But significant amount of in the money puts overhead. So price appreciation is probably going to be difficult. So 160 is probably going to put a cap on price. You really see that. And you see COI is only at 165. And that could change. Obviously, this is tomorrow's expiry. But I would anticipate 160 to be a cap into Friday on the price action. Again, unless we see something change. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So obviously, if you had a good entry at 155, you're up $1.29. I would see where we close. If we go below P-trans, I would cut the trade. I mean, that would most likely be my stop. You took the 160 calls, I would assume, most likely. Yeah, so I don't know what the delta is. I'd assume the 160s were probably a 20, 30 delta, maybe. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the options chain. So yeah. All right. Anybody else want to go over anything else? So you see that 85 really is capping price for now that we just discussed. We'll pull up the volume command here real quick. Our latest volume run. So we're actually seeing, so transacting slightly higher. So you want to see this bolded green line start really transacting above 6,600, right? And that would be the key area that you'd want to watch this continue to transact if we're going to move significantly higher. You can see really the linear fit lines indicating 6601. We've actually dropped the put slope just a little bit down to 6569. So continue on this trajectory, indicating 80, 70 to 90, somewhere close most likely. Would be the trajectory. So yeah, so 18 cents. Okay. I don't know. That's 18 cents is probably what you paid. That's probably not what the delta was, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's got to have decent move if you're at 20 delta. So yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. Anything else you want to go over? I can hang out. So there we're trying to push to 85. So we'll see how we handle that. Again, if we get across 85, then we could have a quick move to the upside as we start capturing all that delta there. So really watching Q's 585, see if we can get over that, and then IWM really grinding into that COI level there. So. Yeah, I'd prefer to, if anybody posts anything in the chat, I'll try to answer it as much as I can. So, All right. Thanks everybody for joining us for the midday recap. Make sure you like and subscribe on X and YouTube. You'll be notified when we go live. And we can continue to talk about the SPX option structure. Tesla. Yeah, we can look at Tesla. Well, here's what we'll do. Let's look at the web app first, and that'll give me an idea of what the option structure looks like. And then I can go look at the actual price action chart. So let's look at this. All right, so I would assume 370 is going to be a cap on price. I have not looked at Tesla today. So that's PGEX COI. Most likely that would be a profit taking area if we've touched it. If we haven't touched it, I would assume that's where we're going to profit take. If we had a pullback this morning, I would assume that transition was supportive or the 355 level. You can see that was COTMP. So if there was short-term out of the money speculation on puts, that most likely pulled back, and those out of the money put holders went in the money and most likely could have monetized that area and then drove price higher. But into Friday, 370 is going to be a cap. So let's go look at Tesla. Let's see, I should have it around here somewhere. Sorry about that. Tesla. Okay. All right, so all expiries. This script was updated from this morning, so our web app is updated. So pull back to 350, beautiful. Transition area held, and then drove to the upside towards 360. So this is a perfect example of how you would use our scanner and how if you were only monitoring the Mag 7, you would get involved in this stock, right? You don't have to get involved at 0gex, although 0gex, we actually have a 0 to P-trans. Or sorry, a 0 to P-trans scan, and then PGEX is where we take profit. You can see it's continuing to drive higher. You don't have to get out of the trade, but you can scale out of the trade at PGEX, and then it's continuing to drive higher off 360 on pullback. So yeah, fantastic. This is would have been this would have been a textbook gamma edge intraday trade, and then you could hold for a swing trade as long as we're above P-trans, right? So I'd assume Tesla has been holding this level down low. Yep. So all the way back to September 5th, we've continued to hold this 345, which is COTMP. So out of the money puts go in the money and transition area. So again, continue to be supportive, bullish structure, supportive on any pullbacks. Need to get involved, right? So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so 385 really continues to be that reject spot that we just discussed. So that's where that's that hurdle we're gonna have to get over if we're gonna go higher for today. So all right, thanks everybody for joining us. Again, like and subscribe. You'll be notified when we go live. Pre-market prep this morning. Go back and review that video where I talked about our path to 6,600, what we needed to see, and then we'll see if we finish the day somewhere around 65.70 to 65.80 if we can continue on that trajectory. And then come join us in our Discord, a great community of traders helping you navigate the SPX option structure, navigate individual equities. Again, we have 3 portfolios that we run, P-trans to PGEX mechanical, the wheel strategy, as well as intraday 0 DTE strategy with spreads. So we'd be happy to show you how those work, how we navigate that. And then we also have swing trading via the P-trans to PGEX, as I just discussed, like Tesla or even AMD, good examples of those. So, all right, thanks everybody. Make it a great day. We'll see you later.